start off by saying how excited we are that you guys are coming back to Australia for a tour, and I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about how you're feeling about the tour.
I mean, it's really exciting for us as well. I mean, I don't. It's going to be exactly 5 years since we were there last. So that's pretty unreal somehow. But yeah, I mean, especially considering, it's just been great coming back, with a new album and starting to tour again and getting back into it after the, 2020 and 2021 was pretty grim. So yeah, everything's exciting now. So if we ever were a little bit jaded about anything, any aspect of this, that's all gone now. We're all excited. So yeah, we're very much looking forward to going back to Australia again and New Zealand as well. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah, do you have fond memories of Australia? Because you have such an amazing fan base here, and you have fans that I know eagerly anticipate every album release, every concert announcement. Do you have fond memories of Australia?
Oh yeah, most certainly we do. I mean, it was one of the I think, so I'm just trying to think, the first time we came over, was it 05 or something like that?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
It was a long time ago now. And it was like, it blew us away. It was the first time that any of us had set foot in Australia, and, it was just amazing, the whole experience was, we'd been to Japan a lot, that was really far away for us, from Europe, but then you get on another really, really long flight, and then you end up in this, place where people speak English, and we had a lot of fans there, so that was just, it was just really nice to reach that part of the world. I remember it was just very, very cool, and then we came, but we've been back many times since then.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's still always fun. Yeah, we don't go there every year, so we don't come down there every year. So it's like it's always a treat, for us. And special memories. Yeah, I guess that first time really sticks in. That's always the big impact, isn't it? The first time you go somewhere and you see everything and experience the culture and just the fan interaction and all that for the first time.
Definitely. And were you able to keep in touch with a lot of those fans from Australia during the pandemic? Because I know that there were so many people out there during that time that were requesting your songs actually on our show during that time. There was a lot of people finding comfort in your music. Were you able to keep in touch with those Aussie fans online during the pandemic?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of... I mean, that's really great to hear, that people want to hear our music, that your listeners want to hear our music. That's super cool to hear. We have a really great connection with the fans all over the world, I think. And we did, we posted stuff, and we were like, talking to people online or whatever. But I think in many ways during the pandemic, I don't know, we were focusing on, we set this goal, to write, not let it really, not get depressed or anything, just try to focus on the new album. But I kind of detached myself from social media for much of that period, actually. So yeah, but we're back now. At least the music was there.
Yeah. Did you find when you were working on that new album that it was different because you weren't having to go out on tours or anything like that for 2 years? Did that make that experience working on Deceivers that little bit different?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we've always had since we became a quote unquote professional band, we've always worked to very strict deadlines these last 15, 20 years, It's always been like, the album needs to be delivered by this date. It doesn't matter if you've only got 3 songs, so you've got to go in and write more now and get this together because we've already got all the tours booked and everything's coming together. There's such a long... The planning is just goes so far into the future. You got to plan all this. The touring and all the releases and everything. There's a lot that goes into it.
Yeah.
So we've always had all these pretty strict deadlines. Or we had really cool tours. We got an opportunity to tour with this huge band, but then we need to have a new album out by this date, pretty much. So then trying to, it's always worked out. It's always been fun. I like to work under pressure as well. But with this album, it was totally different because it was just like, we don't even know if touring is coming back. There was a lot of doomsday prophecies, weren't there, about the future of this industry on all aspects of it. And so, there was just we just thought we'd just make this album for ourselves and, just try to enjoy that as much as possible. But I have to say, at the end of the day, I think we had too much time on our hands to make this record.
Yeah.
I've always had this dream. About, Michael, go away and write your masterpiece, and don't worry about any deadlines. I thought that would be beautiful to have, right? But then when you have unlimited amounts of time, then it was. I think you just could go a little bit crazy as well.
Yeah.
It just became a very drawn out. At the end, it became a very drawn out thing. The recording and the big thing, which is like, and it was also that was not all our own fault though, because the logistical, issues of having an international lineup of people all over the world, and we're old school in the way that I like to get everybody actually in the studio with us together while we're recording our parts, and to get that face-to-face interaction, input. Yeah. So it was a bit of a we were like flying into Germany and having to quarantine for 2 weeks before we could go to start collaborating on the track. So you know what I mean? It was just a bit. Yeah. It's been quite wild, and of course that was very expensive as well.
I had a few people tell me during that time that they just had too much time to think about their music, and one person actually told me they recorded an entire album, and then after 2 months of the pandemic, they decided, I don't like any of these songs anymore, and they deleted them and started again. Did you find that you were thinking too much about your music during that time?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. You sort of start, if you step back, you can take a step back, but then you're like maybe you're getting too much perspective, or kind of maybe a warped perspective, I think it's better to just live in the moment and just do. I think that's when bands are your better artists or songwriters. You just do what you feel the moment, and it feels great in that moment, and then just do it. I think we had a little bit too much time to think about stuff. I think everybody did. Yeah. A lot of people made a lot of pretty crazy life decisions during that time. But at least we for us it's just about a record, about an album. And then at the end of the day, I'm really pleased with the album. I think it turned out great.
Yeah.
But I think it is kind of like a special one. I think it's and especially the process is something that I will always remember. I think for the rest of my life, because it was just very unique experience. It was great to have a project like that to work on during those times.
Definitely.
It was something that to focus on, because I think otherwise you just kind of your mind goes into all kinds of directions.
Yeah.
So it was cool, but next time will be different again, I hope.
Yeah.
Hopefully no new pandemic.
What was that moment like for you when you played your first show after the pandemic? What was it like walking out on stage and being able to play in front of a live audience again? That was in Tempe, Arizona in early April last year. So we'd been off the stage for pretty much what would be 2.5 years. And for us, that's a lot, that's the biggest gap I've had since I was, 14 years old. Yeah.
That's the biggest break since I've had. So, and of course, and with Arch Enemy, the last 25 years, it's just been go, 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 so many shows, thousands of shows, in fact. So, yeah, it was pretty wild to have that life change. And then I got used to that and not playing shows. And then I was like, maybe I'm done, I'm like everybody, I thought most people thought maybe, I have to accept the fact that maybe the possibility that maybe this is over, that part of my life. Yeah. I'll be doing music, but in a different way, maybe. But then suddenly it was all like, oh no, it's coming back. We're going on tour in America, and it's like, oh shit, okay. So it was like, stop. I hadn't stood up playing guitar for 2.5 years,
Wow.
Because I'd just been recording and writing, and comfortably. And I was like, I made a mistake. I practiced the live set sitting down. I was really familiar, right? Getting familiar with the songs again for the set list, for the live shows, for the tour, and I was sitting down doing that. I was like, I've got this. I can remember it. Yeah. But then it's just like the physical aspect of it was something that I'd forgotten.
Yeah.
You know, you're running around with a guitar on, and that was kind of funny. But it took a few shows to get. It took us a good couple of weeks to get really back to sort of peak performance, I think, which is not that bad. But I mean, the first show was. I remember the first show was. Yeah, it felt. You know, we're all pretty edgy. You know, it's like it's something that we had dreamed about. You know, hearing that intro tape roll, and we're standing there and doing our little secret handshake and get up there and rock. You know, it was kind of surreal. It was fun.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, it was a beautiful moment. You know, it was fantastic. But you know, it's weird how we get used to things so quickly. Now I feel like the whole era of not being able to play shows, and that feels very distant now. And now I'm totally back into this. You know, I'm a touring monster again.
Like you said, the last album is such a special album. What's it been like performing those tracks live? How have you found that experience?
Really great. I mean, we had a slightly different approach to how we released this music because of the pandemic. I hate saying that word, talking about the pandemic, but because of how it was, then we were unsure when we could go on tour, right?
Yep.
So we made a plan with the record label to release standard singles, at least, you know, just singles. So you know, it was like I think we started at the end of 2021 releasing songs like Deceiver, and I think the next one was Handshake with Hell, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
Yeah, but I think we released like 6 singles, and then the album dropped. You know, in whenever that was. That was in August last year when the album finally came out, and we had 6 songs out already with a ton of streams on all the streaming platforms, and also a lot of, you know, millions of YouTube views and stuff like that. So those songs from Deceivers were already very how should I say, they were very familiar. The fans were already familiar. Our fan base was already very familiar with those songs. So it felt like these songs are not like, you just, otherwise, you know, it's always difficult to put new songs into the set list.
Yeah.
But playing songs from Deceivers has been really easy because the fans already knew at least those 6 songs. They knew very well.
Yep.
You know, it was just like great reactions and people singing along to what, you know, in reality is kind of like brand new material, you know. So that was different.
Yeah. That was actually my next question. What can we expect from your set list in Australia? Because you guys have got such an amazing back catalogue of music now to choose from. How do you go about doing a set list, especially for a country like Australia that you only get to come to every few years?
Right. Now, don't put more pressure on me. Now you're making me feel nervous. I can guarantee it's going to be all filler, no killer. No, I'm kidding. It's going to be it's going to be great. I mean, it's going to be what we're sort of changing it a little bit from what, but we've been doing like these 6 new songs. I think we're going to do that because I think we're going to keep doing that because that's been so much fun, and there's a lot of huge recognition factor, at least in Europe and the States, and we just did a big tour in Latin America as well, and they loved it. So I think we're just gonna we're gonna change it up a little bit, but of course we try to reflect, you know, the catalog and the history of the band. But the fact of the matter is that Arch Enemy has never been more. Our music has never been more popular than what it is right now, and I'm talking about the last 3 albums, you know. So
yep.
That's like that's a very nice position to be in, of course, you know.
Yeah.
Because usually at this point in a band's career, you're doing really well, but your early material is really the foundation and really what the hardcore fan base wants to hear, you know. And then if you try to throw in a couple of new ones, you know, for your own sake, maybe to break them in and to keep the band alive.
Yeah.
But for us, it's almost the opposite, you know, where We've had these three different eras of the band. We had a male singer, Johan, on the first three albums. Had huge success in Japan, actually, in the mid to late '90s. The second half of the '90s was really big for us there, and then, but not really anywhere else. We did tour in Europe and America, but not really successfully. Then we had the era when Angela, our second singer, joined the band, and that was a big era for the band. 12, 13 years of a lot of touring, and that's when we first came down to Australia and stuff like that.
Definitely.
And that was really when we did a lot of the work. We built up the band. We toured with Iron Maiden, Megadeth, Slayer. We just did a lot of big tours. We built the band up a lot. Then when she left the band in 2013, I think it was, then we brought in Elisa. We put out a War Eternal album with her and the third singer, Elisa, and that could have gone either way. Really, I was totally prepared for things to go a little bit down before they went up again, hopefully. But it just kind of took off from that point. It just hit the next few levels for us. So it was really interesting. And so that's the journey we're on now. I mean, we're almost on our 10th year. So with Elisa fronting the band and singing with us. So, I mean, and we've had 3 really strong records, and hopefully long may it continue.
Yeah, and your fans hold on to your older music as well. I do a segment on this show where I do a deep dive into a classic metal album every week, and last year we had so many requests for me to do Wages of Sin. It's like, a lot of your fans, a lot of your fans hold on to the older music and love it just as much as they do the newer music.
That's beautiful, isn't it? I mean, that's music to my ears.
Well, Michael, I know we are running our time very, very quickly. So to finish off, what would you like to say to all of your fans out there before you hit our shores this month?
Oh, just, I can't believe it's been 5 years. And hopefully it's not going to be another 5 years, but there are no guarantees in life, right? So get your ass out there to the show. I'll see you in the mosh pit.